So welcome everyone to our education event, How to Get Through the Holidays. My name is Aurelis Cortez. I'm the event coordinator here at Turning Point. And as always, we thank you for taking time to be with us this afternoon. Before we get started, as if you've attended these, you kind of know the program, but we always want to make sure we give credit to our socially responsible partners. These are, if Naynette, if you'd go to the next slide, here we go. These are, thank you. These are companies and individuals that have supported us this year, 2020. And because of fundraisers and donations that they have made, we are able to bring these programs to you, these events to you free of charge. So we are always grateful for the community support. So we want to make sure we give them a shout out. We are recording this, so if you're not able to stay for the whole session, it will be uploaded onto our YouTube channel and also our Facebook page, and you can watch it later there. I think that's pretty much it for right now. We will have a Q&A. If you guys have any questions that you think of throughout, please make sure that you type it in the Q&A box, and Naynette will also be asking some questions, and feel free to answer in the Q&A or in the chat box, and we'll make sure to note those responses. So thank you for your time today. We'll go ahead and turn it over to our counselor, Naynette.
Well, hello, everyone. Good afternoon. It is a pleasure to be here. I'm glad you all have taken the time to join us and to basically talk about how to get through the holidays, how to make it not just with COVID, how do we survive? So as we stated, I'm going to have some questions. I just want to kind of assess the room, kind of do a pulse of the room, who's here, who's watching. You all see me, but I can't see you. So if you can in the chat, first let me do an introduction about myself. I am Naynette Kennett. I am the new counselor therapist at Turning Point. I started over the summer, and I facilitate the support groups, the psychoeducational groups regarding emotional wellness, as well as individual sessions and any other services that are needed or requested of our patients at Turning Point, support them while they're receiving services. As far as cost and fees, all of that is related to Turning Point, so you would just have to contact Sandy to get more information to see how that works. I am a licensed clinical social worker here in the state of Georgia, and currently I am in private practice, so I see clients privately, as well as I teach full-time at one of the local universities in the social work program. So it has been a pleasure to join Turning Point and to work with clients, patients, and do the work that I enjoy doing. As I told them when I interviewed, I wanted to be a physical therapist before I became a psychotherapist. So it's a 360 for me. So what I like to know is who is watching, who is here. So if you can just type in the chat, are you a current or a former patient of Turning Point, maybe a family member or friend or a caregiver of a patient at Turning Point, or a survivor of breast cancer? Or are you a healthcare provider? Are you someone here just trying to get some additional information and you provide services to breast cancer patients or patients with Turning Point? So if you can type that in the chat.
And Naynette, I think the chat box, I believe it's disabled for this. I'm not sure why, but they can type it in the Q&A, which is
the Q&A.
fine.
I'm sorry, the Q&A. Yes.
It's okay.
Q&A. Oh, so if you can type that. Let me see. Oh Lord.
So we've got some answers here. One is someone's mom is a survivor. Donna is a current patient. And then we have some staff members on as well. Thank you.
Okay. All right. All right. So again, welcome all. Glad that you are all here. Now, I like to just kind of get a pulse of you all. How are you feeling today? It's kind of gloomy outside, it's rainy, it's cold, but I like to kind of get a pulse of how you're feeling. So over 1 to 10, if you can type in the Q&A, piece of cake is a 1, a little twinge, 2, just a little uneasy, 3, starting to bother, 4, not too good, 5, getting tough, pretty tough, 6 and 7, really tough, number 8, can't handle it, number 9, out of control, ballistic. So if you could just type the number of how you're feeling.
We've got a 4, a 3, a 6.
Okay.
We got more coming in. 2.
Good.
All that sugar. Somebody said all that sugar is doing me in.
Good, good.
A 7, a 3.
Okay. Pretty tough. Okay.
A 6.
All right. Okay, good. So we don't have anyone who's out of control, just pretty tough. All right. So hopefully afterwards at the end, you'll be feeling just a little uneasy or a little twinge, but hopefully a piece of cake. So hopefully this information will help you be able to muster through the holidays, again, especially with the COVID. So what I want to talk about is first, why is mental health important? Why is this something that we need to be concerned with? The World Health Organization has identified it as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. And just because it's absence of a disease does not mean it's not mental health. So health is not possible without mental health. Oftentimes when people think about health and well-being, they only think about physical. But mental health is just important as your physical being. Mental health is not the absence of just a mental disorder or disability. As I stated, it is wellness. It is your ability to cope with normal stressors of life. It's your ability to be a productive citizen in your community. It's the ability for you to give back and to do things that makes you happy. And oftentimes people just think of mental wellness or mental health as just a problem, and it's not. It's very important, and oftentimes it's negated or it's not taken as seriously. And I always tell people, clients, just like if you were to get a diabetes diagnosis, you take your medicine, you take care of yourself, mental health is the same thing. If you're having some mental illness or some struggles and you go and get some help, listen to what the doctor is saying and take care of yourself. And we often know that there's stigma associated with it and with mental illness. And I work so hard to eradicate the stigma. So that is definitely still work in progress. But we want to make sure you understand mental health is wellness. It's the other side of mental illness and its ability to cope in normal life stressors. So during the holidays, unfortunately, 64% with people with mental disorders describe the holidays as something that's stressful and often makes their condition feel worse. But holidays or holiday blues is something that is temporary. It is not something that happens all the time regularly. It can become serious if it's not attended to and if it lasts longer than 2 weeks. So if you are feeling some sadness, some anxiety, some stress, some feeling overwhelmed, maybe some panic attack type symptoms, sweaty, just not yourself for longer than 2 weeks, then it is recommended that you go seek some support. So what contributes to that? So holidays definitely contribute to it because, again, there's sad feelings, there's some dissatisfaction with the holidays. If you have financial stressors, maybe obligations of having to buy things, go places, travel, maybe be off work. So those are causing financial stressors. Feelings of loneliness, maybe you live in one state, family's in another state, or your family's no longer here, especially with COVID. Not being able to gather with family members. I know that has been one of the biggest challenges is that we can see, as well as with our numbers going up, that people just want to interact with others, especially family members. And so this time of the year, just without COVID, there's the feelings of loneliness. And now with COVID and you can't interact with family members, it's also heightened the feelings of loneliness, excessive pressure, and unrealistic expectations. Oftentimes, people are expected or wanting to do things, go places, buy certain things. It's all contribute to feeling sadness, but make sure that your expectations expectations people have of you are realistic. Make sure that you let them know, unfortunately, that's not something that I can do, or that's something that I'm not willing to do, especially again this year with COVID. I think one of the hardest things is for family members to tell people we cannot gather this year. I unfortunately experienced COVID just last month, and I'm home, but my dad came to visit. And so when people ask, are you having people over? No, 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 no. Because it was my own father who brought COVID here. So I have come to the realization that I would rather be alone this summer, this holiday, and then be able to spend other holidays. And so that may be a tough decision that you might have to have, but it's something that will definitely be beneficial long term. Reminisce about the past and comparing it to the present. That's also some things that contribute to sadness. Thinking about what you did last year, the year before, and then comparing it to what's happening now. That's really an unrealistic expectation, because we want to make sure we're realistic about what we can and cannot do. And a lot of this is out of our control, especially with the COVID. CDC, there's a lot of research saying not to have too many gatherings and not to invite people who are not a part of your everyday bubble or circle. So although reminiscing about the past and comparing it to the present can be sad, but there's also opportunity to make new memories in given the current situation. And again, sadness about being able to be with loved ones. I've recommended doing things like the virtual, if you can, FaceTime, if you can. There's so much technology that is available for everyone to use. If possible, schedule like a holiday gathering at a certain time on the holiday time. And in that way, you're able to still you're still able to communicate, laugh, gather, socialize with family members without putting people at risk. So again, what are holiday blues? What does that look like? Again, short term, and it's different than mental illness. However, if it's not addressed, it can become mental illness, such as anxiety or depression. So over time, because typically a depression diagnosis is symptoms of sadness and not eating and sleeping and certain things for at least 2 weeks. And that's why I stated earlier, if you've experienced some sadness or certain symptoms for at least 2 weeks or more, you will want to seek help, because that's pretty much the threshold when you start looking at mental illness. Watch and monitor, if you have a mental illness, your current signs. There's a myth right now. There's typically a myth. People don't realize that suicide is at a high during the holiday season. And it's actually not. This is not the high for suicide risk. It's actually a high for teens for inpatient psychiatric hospitalizations during the winter time. But as far as suicidality and suicide thoughts, and all, the holidays is not the danger time. Actually, it's spring when people begin to feel better, because typically people do not attempt suicide until they feel better, they have enough energy. And so during the holidays is when they're down and they really don't have enough energy. So you want to watch and monitor any family members, or also yourself. If you're feeling you're down or too down, you want to go and seek help. Also, avoid alcohol. When you're feeling stressed, I know the first thing, excuse me, people say is go have a glass of wine. But alcohol is a depressant, and so it typically will make you feel worse. So if you're experiencing some sadness or stress, you want to avoid drinking alcohol. And as I stated earlier, Teens and children during this time is a peak for inpatient psych hospitalization. So watch your children, family members, nieces, nephews, grandchildren. Pay attention to if they're feeling some sadness, if they also have a mental illness. Do you notice anything different about them? Have conversations, talk to them. This is not the time to leave them alone and let them be. So you want to make sure you're engaging, you're monitoring and having constant communication with them to ensure that they're not feeling worse, but also that they're feeling supported. This is a time when people need support. Support is one of the number one protective factors when you're looking at depression, anxiety, or any mental illness. People who identify at least one person as a support system have a higher rate of getting better or feeling better when they have support. It's those who don't have support. So that teen or that family member, even yourself, make sure you're able to identify at least one person who you find that you can count on, contact, call, or lean on for some support during this time. And then there's beating the odds. How do you get past this? How do you move through this? I guess, are there any questions? Do you see any questions in the chat? Because I'm just moving along in the Q&A. No questions?
No questions yet, but feel free. Yes.
Yes.
Please,
Anyone, if you have questions, please stop me, ask a question. Or we can wait to the end. I'm open to either way.
And there's just real quick, there's an option where you can ask questions anonymously. Please feel free to do that as well. I'll read the question. I'm not going to say who asked the question. So please feel free to ask away.
Okay. So as I stated, how do you beat the holiday blues? So here's some tips. Give it some thought. And make sure, again, have minimal expectations. Oftentimes, people are overwhelmed, stressed when they have too high expectations or unrealistic expectations. And you want to make sure that you identify your plans, what you like to do, and what's realistic for you and your family. Financially, emotionally, whatever it is. Again, especially during COVID. And because if you are, for example, you thought that the whole family would be able to gather for the holidays and then now you're not, it can be stressful. It can be frustrating because we've been sitting in the house since March. And it's like, wow, December, at least just one day. And for whatever reason, you just don't feel like it's okay or it's safe. That's okay. Again, prayerfully, there's other days, but you want to make sure that you minimize your expectations so that you don't let yourself down and you don't get stressed or overwhelmed. By doing that, let family members know in advance your concerns or how you're feeling. That way, they won't have some expectations on you or the family that are unrealistic. So, I just had a family member, we were planning for Christmas because, again, I had COVID for Thanksgiving. And then got a family member, I was calling to let her know I'm not going to make it for Christmas. And she was letting me know there's her husband who has COVID. So we are letting each other know in advance so that we can let our kids know, look, we're not going to be able to gather again for another holiday, preparing them so they understand it's COVID. We can do a virtual session again and see how everyone is doing, but we're letting everyone know in advance our concerns, and we're also letting them know so that there's no expectations that, oh, what happened? Why not? I thought we could. Why? Shoulda, woulda, coulda, and then causes stress and anxiety. So you want to do that.
There's a question.
Go ahead.
Just before you move from the family, you had made a statement about leaving the family member alone. The question is, how do you leave them alone? Do you understand that?
No, leave the family?
When you say, I'm not sure. The question is, when you say leave the family member alone, how do you leave them alone? But I'm not sure.
And And I don't know if I don't mean leave them alone, meaning leave them alone, meaning if ask them what is it they're expecting of you. And if they want to be left alone, that's fine. But if I don't know that I meant to say leave them alone. But you do want to find out what they would like as well as what you would like, and then try to adhere to that, but not necessarily leave them alone, especially if that's not what they want. But if it's not safe, then that's when you would have to have the conversation and communicate what's a safe way for us to still socialize and gather so that everyone is safe. I hope that answers the question. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute, Aurelia.
Sorry. Yes, you answered the question. Thank you.
Okay. Next, don't try to be a superhero. Sometimes there's families where our families is not our support system. And they are the source of our stress or our frustration or being overwhelmed. Avoid it. If it's complicated, it's going to cause you stress. It's going to cause you frustration or feeling overwhelmed. Avoid any family or family member that will only complicate things. Remember, this is about your mental health, your wellness, doing what's best for you. You cannot care for others if you're not caring for yourself. And so try to figure out a way to have a healthy conversation and to let family know, you know what, I just can't this year. It's too stressful. Family gatherings are overwhelming, or family gatherings is too much. I'm just going to do something different this year. Because again, you want to avoid anything that is going to cause you extra stress or frustration. Also, be realistic. I've been saying that, and I'm going to continue to say that, because oftentimes we want to go do, and we're not being realistic. And I'll say it again, you cannot give from an empty cup. You have to continue to replenish your cup. And by doing that, you have to be realistic. And by doing that, you can't always meet everyone else's needs. Don't worry about how things should be. Again, another level, another type of expectations. Shoulda, woulda, couldas. Always expecting or worrying or frustrated because I wish it should, I wish it could, I wish we would have. And right now, it's about being in the moment. Experiencing, having those times with family, with friends that are healthy and that will bring happiness to you. In whichever format that is, again, virtually, or if your bubble is small enough and you're interacting with the same people and you can do it in a safe manner, then that's okay. Also, volunteer. Sometimes that can be a stress reliever, to volunteer and to help and to do things, go to the mission or go to homeless shelter or do something helping with gifting or donate to a family. Sometimes that's often something that's stress reliever, is to help someone else, to doing good for others. And again, keep your own well-being in mind. That is so important. Self-care, identify something that makes you feel good, that makes you have a healthy, quiet, safe mind so that you are able to enjoy the moment. Make sure it is true holiday blues and not a mental illness. So if you are experiencing some sadness and some anxiety, kind of assess yourself. We all know ourselves. We all know how we feel when just something's not right. Make sure you do a self-check, and then I'll give a link at the end of a different type of mental health test that you can test, online test, and you can do a screening. But kind of do a self-assessment to make sure, you know what, this isn't depression, or maybe I'm not. Am I anxious, or is this really anxiety? Because again, you don't want it to turn, you don't want it to become a mental illness, and then it doesn't go treated. Have fun creating new memories, whatever those memories are. Have fun doing it. Enjoy the moment. Because as I stated, a lot of people have family and friends who are either sick, who are maybe no longer here, or are not able to gather because of COVID and other illness. And so you want to make sure that you're able to have fun and create new memories with the given circumstances that's going on in our country. It may seem challenging, but I always ask people to write down at least 5 things that you could do for free. That's fun. Because oftentimes we can come up with a list of stuff that's going to cost. But you want to think about things that you can do that are free. For me, I mean, it could just be laying in the bed and watching a good movie. I've been watching a Christmas movie. Me and the kids, we've been watching just Christmas movies and having fun, playing games, journaling, writing, whatever. But think of things that don't cost you anything, because also it's more likely that you'll do it. When you have to get up, go get money, do certain things, it's like, maybe not. Okay, I'll do it next time. But if it's something simple that you can do right away, doesn't cost you much, doesn't cost much energy to do, you're more likely to do it. And then also NAMI. I don't know if you all have heard of them, National Alliance on Mental Illness. They have a lot of groups and supports and services and resources available for individuals who are dealing with the holiday blues or dealing with mental illness. So they're also a good resource. So with COVID, you want to make, is there a question?
There is a suggestion, something to do for free, drive to Christmas light shows and church nativity scenes.
That is very nice. I like to take the kids to do that as well. There'll be some awesome lights out here. All right, so what about any other suggestions while we're looking? Any other suggestions of some things to do for free or inexpensive?
Nothing yet. I like to dance in my living room. Dancing is
okay.
A stress reliever.
It is. Exercising. Yes, dancing. All right. So mental health and COVID. You want to make sure when you're looking at mental health and wellness, identify how you're feeling. You want to know, what are your true feelings? How are they impacting you? How do they impact your family, your loved ones, everyone around you, work? How are you feeling at work? Is it different at work than when you're at home? Do you feel different when you're around others? Kind of, again, assess, get a pulse of how you're feeling and what's going on. More next, you want to acknowledge what you have lost. You don't want to ignore, because when you ignore feelings of hurt and pain, it turns to numbness, and you don't want to be numb. So acknowledge what you've lost, how it's made you feel, and how do you plan to move through it or move past it. Make the most of it. Make the most of your time. Make the most of your gatherings and your energy and what you're doing with others. Make sure you don't romanticize your typical holiday plans. Again, realistic expectations. If you guys could see the theme, take care of yourself, keep minimum expectations, acknowledge what's happening, and then moving forward. It's pretty much the theme with not just holiday blues, but also with mental illness, recognizing what it is, having realistic expectations of what it is that you're going through, and then learning how to move forward with whatever it is that you're experiencing. You want to make sure you don't get stuck, because when we get stuck, we don't make choices, we don't do anything, or our choices may not be the most healthiest choices. So learning how to move through with maybe the frustrations or the sadness or the loneliness, how do you cope and move through and still move on? Easier said than done, but it's possible. And it's going back to, again, figuring out and understanding what makes you happy, because you cannot make anyone else happy if you're not happy. And when you're not happy, nobody else is happy. So you want to make sure that you are in a good space and place so that when you are around others, you're generating that type of energy as well. And practice gratitude. Um, that's often something we only do when there's something catastrophic or something bad may have happened. And it's like, oh, I'm grateful to this or that. But if you practice it regularly, it becomes a part of the norm. And then you don't kind of go on life kind of, it doesn't matter, or I don't care. But you appreciate the small things, and then you are practicing how to be grateful for a lot of things. And as I stated, there is an online screening test, and let me see if I can click on it. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. No, you won't. But the Mental Health of America has a lot of different screenings that you can take online to kind of assess if you're feeling different, if you're feeling like something's not right, or I'm not feeling a certain way. They have one for depression, anxiety, bipolar, eating, PTSD. You can give one for children, if you think something might not be right with your children or family member, or teen or loved one, you can have them do it. And it's real easy, small, simple. Maybe if you feel like you're drinking more, or maybe engaging in drugs more and it's not healthy, there's some tests, screening tests to kind of assess to see where you are and if you need further treatment or services. And then ultimately, you want to think about mental illness. It's real, it's common, it's treatable, but more importantly, recovery is possible. Oftentimes people think once they get mental illness or something's wrong, then that's it. That's it. My life it's over. But it's not over. It definitely has changed. But mental illness with treatment, recovery is possible. But recovery is different for each person. So what recovery looks like for me will definitely look different for someone else and someone else. And that's one of the greatest challenge when it comes to mental illness, because people think, well, that worked for them or that didn't work for them, and so it may or may not work for me. And I often tell clients, mental illness is different for each person. Although the diagnosis is the same, some of the symptomology could be the same, but how people respond to treatment, to the diagnosis, is different. And so that what makes it looks more challenging, because every person has a uniqueness, are unique, and so their response is unique. But if you remember, it's possible. What it looks like, how it looks is different, but it's possible. And so if you always keep the perspective that it is possible to do something different and to continue and to move on with the mental illness, especially, or holiday blues, or dealing with some of the stressors, anxiety of COVID, just know that recovery is possible. To move forward, it's just going to look different. So instead of the whole family being at the house for the holidays, everybody's at their own house and we're all on the phone or we're all on the computer. So it's still possible to have social gatherings. The gatherings are just different. That's it. Any questions?
Yes, we have a good question. Since we're speaking about mental health, and from that perspective, the question is it better to document this year for future memories? For example, photos of us in masks, screenshots of family Zooms, or is it better to just let it fade?
No, that is a great idea, so that you can go back and reflect. Again, a part of memories. It's interesting how we don't even have photo albums anymore, but it would be nice to definitely do that. Take pictures, or maybe have a contest for the family who can make the cutest mask for COVID for the holidays, the best holiday mask. And then when you all meet together on a virtual setting or in person, kind of then someone gets the best mask or the best holiday mask, and then to give a gift to that person. So that's a fun memory, is something that you can do with family. But definitely I document, keep pictures, and create memories so that you can go back and reflect and see how things have changed or how it's different moving forward. Any more questions? I
Not,
have, oh, go ahead.
not yet. No. I was just gonna say not yet, not anymore.
Okay.
Not right
I
now.
have one. If you could just share maybe one takeaway. So we talked about mental illness. We talked about holiday blues. We talked about how the holidays can affect it, how COVID has affected how we are feeling and how we're doing, and some tips to move forward to that you can have a happy, healthy holiday time. And I don't want you to just think about holidays. Of course, we know holiday blues and how to get through, but COVID don't seem like it's going anywhere anytime soon. Even though we're getting the vaccine and things, it's still going to be some time before we get some change. So how do you think you can move forward or recognize or just some things for yourself moving forward to get through? Because COVID, just when you hear the name, it's anxiety provoking. So I can just imagine, it seems like every holiday we have been in our home for COVID. Only one we've missed is because we're gonna be in there for Christmas and we're gonna be in there for New Year's, and then we're gonna hit Valentine's and all the holidays. So literally, we have spent a whole year on lockdown because of COVID. So how, any takeaways or anything you've learned or something you'd like to do, or maybe even share with someone else what you have done or plan to get through to keep yourself mentally well during this time.
Somebody mentioned the takeaway was learning to minimize expectations.
Okay.
That's a good one. Personally, I appreciated the importance of taking care of yourself. That was a good reminder.
That's
Somebody,
often forgotten.
yes, very, very much for me. And then somebody mentioned acceptance and acknowledgement that these are challenging times.
That allows you to lower your expectations. It all ties in together. I know it doesn't seem like it, but when we think about it, it's like, oh, okay, that's what I'm doing. But self-care, really, that is probably the number one thing that we often forget. We're so busy, so caught up, especially when we have family, of caring for others. But we have, and it's not selfish. It is not selfish to take care of yourself. And the one example that everyone always uses is when you get on an airplane, what's the first thing they say? Put your mask on before you put someone else's. So that's key to everything. You have to take care of yourself first before you can care for others.
So one takeaway from someone else was find 5 fun, free things to do.
Yes. Very important.
And another statement that just came in was a great reminder that fun can still happen even though there are limitations that exist and will be around for a long time.
Exactly. Key. Any questions?
Not yet, but I'm giving it a few minutes in case someone's typing. So what if someone, a family member, does get offended that you are not wanting to be in their home? If there are some people that are okay with people in their homes, how would you handle someone that may be upset?
Well, I'm gonna wear half a professional hat and half of a personal hat on this one. We cannot control how other people feel. We can only control how we feel. And so if you are tactful in your delivery of, unfortunately, this is not a good time, I don't feel safe with family members or interacting or socializing given the current conditions, and this is the reasons why, if you choose to share or not, and someone is offended, that is not your responsibility. You were very nice. You didn't say, you know what, I don't want y'all over here, stay away. It was very nice on how you delivered it and shared it with them. We cannot control how other people feel. So if they get upset, you recognize, they tell you they're upset or they're mad. Okay, I'm upset and frustrated too. I'd like to do the same thing. Unfortunately, health is more important for us right now. And that's what you have to do. Oftentimes people don't say things because they want to protect how other people feel. But you also, again, you have to protect how you feel and the healthy of you and your family. And so if you're very honest and nice and polite about how you deliver, you cannot control how other people feel or perceive the information you've shared.
That's good. Thank you. I don't see any other questions coming in.
Okay.
Oh, hold on. Oh, just thank you. Thank you, Naynette, for the presentation and for the time to talk to us.
Any questions? Any other questions? Concerns?
I think we're good. If another one comes in, can you hit it one more time? There should be a little, there we go. Oh, it kind of came up. I'm not sure why it looks like that.
Oh, there it is.
It's like it's frozen.
Is that better?
Okay, there we go. Thank you. Whoops. I think there's questions coming in. Okay, no, just thank you. Thank you guys. So before we go ahead and finish for today, we do want to thank you for your time. Thank you for the questions and being engaged. We truly appreciate the support of Turning Point. As you probably know, if you know anything about Turning Point, we are a 501c3 nonprofit. We depend on community support and donations. Two ways we always want to and remind people that they can support Turning Point, obviously financially. If you appreciated today's event, just feel free to go to our website and make a donation. We now accept donations through your own PayPal account. It's very easy and safe. And not also tell others about Turning Point. Let them know that we are here to provide support and help for those with breast cancer and their families. So just word of mouth, let people know about us. We would appreciate that as well. Please follow us on social media. And we've got some great things coming up. So make sure you visit myturningpoint.org, our calendar of events. We've got stuff listed through February that you are welcome to go ahead and join and register. If you want a personal one-on-one appointment with Naynette, please just email us at staff@myturningpoint.org and we will make sure to get you that one-on-one appointment. So we appreciate your time. Again, this will be shared on our social media, YouTube channel and Facebook, so you can feel free to share and watch again. So thank you guys for your support today. Have a good day.